Over the past few months, I've really gone into achievement hunting. I've done this in the past exclusively for games by From Software and other Souls-likes such as anime Dark Souls or Twink Bloodborne, but over time I've begun doing this with other games sort of as my way to experience as much of the game as I can. Recently, I've decided to take it upon myself to get every achievement in the Yakuza series, also known as Like a Dragon. Why? I don't know, I guess I just hate myself. The reasons I tell myself why I want to do this are two main things. One, it gives me a chance to talk about the Yakuza games, and two, I have always heard that getting every achievement in these games is kinda difficult, and looking at Steam, I can see that only 1.3% of players have every achievement. Compare this to a game such as Elden Ring with 9.5% or Sekiro with 9.3%, games that are meant to be much harder. I just wanted to know, what kind of torture am I gonna be subjecting myself to? This won't be a regular review of the game or a retrospective if you're a white guy on the internet, and there's other good videos made by people showcasing their journey to get every achievement. Instead, I want to review this based on how difficult it is to get each achievement and how that has affected my experience of the game. Many people would tell you to play these games casually. You don't need to get every achievement. But what if you want to? I'll be going in this series in chronological order, and I'll be including any spin-offs as well when the time comes. This should also mean that the first game would need to be Like a Dragon Ishin, given that it takes place in the Edo period, but it's already too late for that. Instead, we are going to start from the beginning with Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0, the game that saved the series in the West, the title that took this from niche fandom to mainstream niche fandom. The success of this game internationally was due to multiple reasons. It was a prequel to a game series that was already 5 games in. It was also the first in the series to not be exclusive to a PlayStation console. Eventually. Also back in 2020, we had a bunch of Bakamita memes, Dame Dane guy, and people wondered what the fuck was Yakuza even about. But on top of all that, the game was really good. Ask anyone about this game and they'll tell you that it's amazing, possibly the best the series has to offer. It has great gameplay, a lot of side activities to do, and an amazingly crafted story. Speaking of which, the story takes place in December of 1988, which also makes it a Christmas game. It features 2 playable characters, Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima, who you'll alternate between every 2 chapters or so. I won't get into too much detail about the story because I want you to experience this game for yourself, but I will give you a brief rundown. Kiryu gets framed for murdering someone in a location known as the Empty Lot in Kamurocho. This causes some problems for Kiryu's Yakuza family, the Dojima family, as they're looking to purchase that empty lot to move forward with the Kamurocho Revitalization Project. A project that, when complete, would grant the Dojima family more profits and power, and the punishment for this whole situation is being thrown onto Kiryu and Shintaro Kazuma, Kiryu's adoptive father and the man who brought him into the Yakuza. To prevent Kazuma from being associated with this murder, Kiryu attempts to leave the Yakuza and does so after fighting an old man. After his expulsion, he gets approached by Tetsu Tachibana of Tachibana Real Estate, who explains to Kiryu his associations with Kazuma and tells him that he will help clear Kiryu's name if Kiryu helps Tachibana secure the empty lot to keep it away from the Dojima family. Meanwhile, in Sotenbori, Osaka, Majima is running a cabaret after being expelled from the Yakuza for disobeying the orders of his patriarch, Futoshi Shimano. The way I said that made it sound like running a cabaret was a fallback plan if being a Yakuza didn't work out. Running the cabaret is actually a punishment for Majima as he's being watched by Shimano's oath brother, Tsukasa Sagawa. Okay, I want to take a quick tangent here because I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring this up later, but look at Sagawa. He's modeled after his actor and he's Shimano's sworn brother. But when you finally get to see Shimano later in the game and picture these two side by side swearing their bond with one another, it just looks funny. I mean, Sagawa is an actual person and Shimano's a video game character who eats 24 slices of fugu in one go. Anyway, Majima wants to rejoin the Tojo clan and he's given the chance when Sagawa tells him he could if he completes a task handed to him by Shimano, and that is to kill someone called Makoto Makimura. Kiryu's and Majima's story will eventually intertwine as the story goes on, and it will all come back to the empty lot. The game has 17 chapters in total, and you get an achievement for finishing every 2 chapters, and another achievement for finishing the 17th chapter. On top of that, you also get an achievement for free when you first take control of Kiryu in chapter 1. So already we have like 10 out of 55 achievements. That's about a fifth of the way there. Along the way, you also have 8 missable achievements throughout the story, but if you know what they are, then they're not really too hard to get. You have to buy a homeless man a 20,000 yen bottle of alcohol, negotiate a deal with a rival cabaret club owner, impress Oda with your business etiquette,
立花不動産の 桐生です。
Wait 15 minutes for takoyaki to go cold, perform 3 takedown attacks with Oda and Tachibana, steal money from a safe, defeat a Yakuza with an afro while on the highway, and fail a QuickTime event. The story achievements aren't that difficult, with some given to you and others you'd have to know ahead of time. If you're the kind of person to not bother looking up hidden achievements, then some missable ones could be difficult to finish, but overall they aren't too bad and you'd end up with 18 out of 55 done. If you finish the game on the hard difficulty, you end up unlocking legend difficulty, which also isn't as hard as you think it is. The main thing is that if you lose during the game, then you have to return to the main menu and lose all the progress you made since your last save. But if you beat the game on legend difficulty, then that nets you another achievement for 19 out of 55. The game also has 2 more achievements that you'll get during the course of the story that are unmissable, which leads us to... By Chapter 5 as Kiryu and Chapter 7 as Majima, you get to unlock their respective business minigames. Kiryu becomes the president of his own real estate firm and Majima takes over a cabaret club. After you unlock them, you're given a quick tutorial on how these minigames work, and right after that, you'll be awarded their own respective achievements. These bits of side content also have their own mini-story, where Kiryu has to wrestle Kamurocho's businesses out of the hands of the 5 billionaires who are abusing their tenants and only care for money, and Majima has to defeat the 5 cabaret club owners because they have unethical business practices and are just very greedy. There are, in total, 8 achievements tied to business side content, 4 for Kiryu and 4 for Majima, and these will take some time to complete. Starting with Kiryu, you have 3 achievements to get: 100% of shares in an area, purchase the most expensive property, and finish the side story tied to the business minigame. Getting 100% of the shares in an area isn't too much of a hassle, and as you make your way through the story, you'll eventually get that achievement rather easily. The problem, however, is that Kiryu's business is mostly a waiting game. You have advisors invest in a business, and you send managers out to collect money from them while security keeps things peaceful. It's a very passive game, and I wish there was a bit more to it than just simply waiting for money to come in. After you deal with the first billionaire, you then get access to 3 more areas, with the 5th one locked until you manage to take out these regions. But by Chapter 5, you could complete maybe at most 3 out of 5 regions, as you need to unlock a certain minigame in the 6th chapter before you can move on with the story. As you unlock the 5th district, you'll eventually find the most expensive property in the game, and if you buy it, then you'll be given that achievement. All that's left is to finish the story, which involves more waiting. The good news is that for all your trouble for completing the 5 billionaire subplots, you will not only get an achievement for it, but you'll also unlock the Dragon of Dojima fighting style, which I think is a nice reward that will also increase the power of all your other fighting styles as you slowly invest in it. Also, there's an achievement that's tangentially related to this, where if you take over a whole area, you can get someone to light Kiryu's cigarettes, and that gives you another achievement. Majima's Cabaret Club is a lot more of an active minigame. Rather than waiting for money to come in, you'll be looking at this screen as you pair a customer with a hostess, understand sign cues when a hostess needs help, and try to get the customers to stay longer so that they can spend more money. Majima's achievements are similar to Kiryu's apart from one. The similar ones are finishing the story regarding the 5 cabaret club owners, and you'll end up unlocking the Mad Dog of Shimano fighting style where Majima snaps a whole lot earlier than he should be in the story. There's also an achievement similar to getting 100% of shares in an area, but Majima instead has to get 1,000 fans in an area, and you can do this rather easily very early on in the minigame. The only achievement that bothered me is one that took the longest, and it is reaching max level with a platinum hostess. In the Cabaret Club minigame, you'll have a number of women working there ranked from bronze to gold, but 6 of them are ranked as platinum. These 6 get unique mechanics to them, such as dressing them up in gaudy outfits, because you only really care about the stats. There's also this special hostess training where you get to help level them up a lot quicker, and you also take them out on a date, and then she wins in a game of pool, and now the date sucks. And at least one of these 6 hostesses needs to reach level 40. The real kicker is that you won't even be close to level 40 by the time you finish the subplot, and you'll need to come back here and sit through these 3 minutes over and over and over again until just one, reaches level 40. And when that's done, you can sit back and relax as you've gotten all 8 business achievements. Except that's not the end. I've waited a bit too long to introduce this, but in Chapter 1, you are told of the completion list, and this list has a set of tasks to do, and every single one of them needs to be done if you even want to come close to getting that all achievements achievement. The completion list. The fucking completion list. The bane of my existence, and the reason my final playthrough took 90 hours to complete. The completion list has 5 different categories you need to fill out. The problem is that while a lot of the metrics are shared, some of them are not. On paper, I like the idea of having this list on hand because it not only will tell me what I'm missing, but it also ties itself to a majority of the other achievements. The business achievements we talked about, the list asks you to get 100% of the shares in each of the 5 districts, and last I checked, 1,500 is a larger number than 1,000. As you make your way through this list, you'll find yourself completing achievements at a decent pace, and finishing this list in and of itself also counts as an achievement. Some items on this list are pretty simple to complete, and you'll find yourself passively completing them as you play through the game, such as running 10 kilometers, spending money, using healing items, while others will require you to actively go and complete, such as eating everything at each restaurant, playing various minigames, or watching risque videos at Gandara. And while a decent amount of these metrics can be completed rather easily over the course of the game, some of them just end up feeling really exhausting. The most egregious offender to me is when it asks you to defeat 200 enemies in each fighting style. Kiryu and Majima have 4 fighting styles each. That means that to complete these metrics, you need to defeat a total of 1,600 enemies. Keep in mind, while both of them have fighting styles that are analogous to each other, such as Beast and Slugger or Brawler and Thug, these are counted individually. This ends up not being much of a challenge, but instead of a time waster. The only saving grace I had while trying to finish this challenge was doing it later in the game when about like 5 people would jump you at once in an encounter, so that helps make it quicker, and finding out that later equipping a weapon while using the needed fighting style also helps, so you can equip like a really powerful weapon and one-shot people and just rinse and repeat. However, even with these tips to help speed things along, this feels like bloat, and finding out that some of the fighting styles I had didn't even get past the first tier of defeating 50 enemies, it made my heart sink, knowing the grind that was ahead of me, and I could only relax when all of that was over. I don't know why I'm being so dramatic here, it's just a video game. The other item in the battle category that busted my balls is the Colosseum. The Colosseum gets unlocked in chapter 11, and it has only one achievement tied to it, and that is to defeat 30 enemies in endless route. Now that doesn't sound all too bad until you find out that mode is not unlocked until you hit rank B. So you'd think, oh, okay, no problem, I'll just rank up, it can't be too bad. And then you find out that going from rank to rank gets exponentially longer the higher you climb, which means that you are going to be grinding tournaments until you hit rank B. So you'll be repeating tournaments over and over again, and you'll find out that on the completion list you need to finish 50 tournaments, and then you'll realize that that is not enough to unlock endless routes. When I did this, I finished it as Majima, but the problem was that I wasn't really all that comfortable playing as Majima. I much preferred Kiryu's fighting style, and while Kiryu can take part in the Colosseum, I would have to start from the lowest rank and climb up again. I was already halfway through with Majima when I found out about this, and I could either say fuck it and start over, or just accept that I'll be dealing with this for a while longer. And then it dawned on me that while I was doing this playthrough, I was doing it on legend difficulty, and I already had the achievement going into this. So I wondered, why? What am I doing? What was I thinking? What am I trying to prove here? This just made things so much worse for me because of these bullshit fights, and this isn't even the last time it comes back to bite me in the ass. And it was during the Colosseum that I found out that there is a second 100% completion list. And the good thing though is that you do not need to finish this list to get every achievement. You just need to finish the initial completion list and call it a day. So when I saw that and saw how many other things I was missing, I said fuck that and just moved on. Okay, so in the script it just says section on weapon farming, and I didn't really write anything because I think I'm trying to forget it. Really all you do for this part is talk to this woman over and over and over again and hope RNG's in your favor and that you get the items you need. You need to get every material, which isn't really the biggest problem here, but the problem comes about when you need to find at least 70 weapons, and not just find 70 weapons, sometimes you can craft them, but crafting them takes a while because if you need a material that isn't guaranteed, you are going to be sending agents back and forth to get the item you need. And for the longest time, I needed one item to build a katana, and when I was waiting for this material to come in, I don't even remember what it's called, but I was sending them over and over and over again. I was following a guide for this, and they said send them to this area, and when I did, they came back and never brought the material. So I want to know, how the fuck did I get in the first place? Where did it come from? Am I hallucinating this? Maybe, but apparently I have every achievement, so I just said, you know what, let's not build that katana. It's a good thing there's like, what, 100 weapons in the game, so you're gonna miss out on 30 of them if you don't go for everything, but at this point I just want it to be done. There are a total of 27 mini-games in Yakuza 0, and there's an achievement for playing every single one of them. You don't have to win them to get the achievement, but if you want to finish the completion list, you have to do a lot more than just play them. Now, not every minigame is really all that bad. I haven't heard anyone badmouth karaoke, and bowling hasn't been too much of a problem except for one time when I couldn't get like 3 strikes in a row for a story. But there are some minigames which have developed a bit of a reputation amongst the player base, which kind of makes getting everything in the completion list a bit difficult. For example, maybe you'll go and play some of the gambling games in the casino, maybe you'll play blackjack, baccarat, maybe you'll play some CeeLo, and I wouldn't really say they're bad per se, it's just that there's a lot of RNG. It does get frustrating at times when the dealer seems to get like a blackjack 5 games in a row, or when the dealer keeps dealing you a 15 and you say hit, and then you bust, and this happened so many times, stop giving me a fucking 15. And maybe sometimes you'll just give up on life and you'll go to the roulette table as you just pick numbers and hope you'll win everything. I'd say that not all gambling games are made equal. For example, if you want to play CeeLo, you just have to throw dice and hope that you get some good RNG. You don't even have to like know the rules, just throw dice, hope you win. Or if you play Chohan, you just have to guess if the dice are going to add up to an odd or even number. I don't really think the game cheats here, you're just going to get unlucky with your choices. And then you'll have games like Koi Koi, where you go against the AI in like a card game, and then you're going to start to wonder, is the AI cheating by knowing what cards are coming up in the RNG? And the answer is probably yes. Can I confirm this? I don't know, but the AI always seems to play in a way that no actual person would play, and so I had to turn off some settings so that the AI will just play like a regular person and not just get the best hands in the game so easily. Which is funny because if you challenge the AI to a game of bowling, they are really bad at bowling, but if you challenge them to games like Koi Koi or Mahjong, they always seem to win, or they at the very least have a higher chance at winning. And the completion list for these games needs you to win a set amount of money before being complete, and you'd probably think that that's not too bad. I mean, yeah, maybe I lost 2,000 yen, but I won 1,000 yen, so that's 1,000 added to the completion list. Wrong. That 1,000 yen doesn't mean shit. You have to come out positive, which means that at some points you're going to win, leave the game, go back in, and that's going to take you through a few loading screens, which does get rather tedious. Mahjong is another game that has developed a reputation amongst the player base, and I feel you can divide the player base between 2 groups. Those who know how to play Mahjong and those who don't, and they're going to complain about very different reasons for this game. If you don't know how to play Mahjong, you're just going to wonder how the AI keeps winning, how they're getting so many points, how you're getting so few points, what's going on, what tile do I put down, what do you mean I can't steal that tile to win? There's going to be like a lot of questions you're going to have just because you don't know the rules of the game, and that's fine, you know, you just have to learn to play the game and then eventually you'll start to do better. But for those who do know how to play the game, can let you know that the AI more than likely cheats. For example, I know how to play the game and I've come close to getting a winning hand. So when I just need that last tile, I notice that none of the other AI puts down the tile I need, and I can never seem to draw the tile that I'm looking for. It feels like they know what's in my hand and when they should drop a tile or when they shouldn't, and it takes a lot of will and perseverance in order to get through all these games. And then you'll come to realize that a lot of things on the completion list aren't really skill-based, and at least for me, that makes things a bit less exciting. And there's one thing for Mahjong in particular that really bothered me for the completion list, and that is to win the game with Richi Ipatsu. Now I know I just threw out words that people probably don't know what that means, so let me explain it in simple terms. To call Richi means that you're calling Uno, you're telling the table that you need 1 tile left and you are going to focus in to get that tile. Richi Ipatsu means that after you call Uno, you are going to get the tile you need before the end of your next turn. So that means either the AI has to put down the tile you need so you can steal it, or you have to draw the tile on your next turn immediately after calling Richi. You're starting to see the problem on why I don't like these, and it's because this relies heavily on RNG, and I'm just so lucky that I got this so quickly, because I feel like this could take a while to get. Even in games where I play against like actual people and say Mahjong Soul, I don't always get it. But regardless of your opinions of Mahjong or the gambling games, I think we can agree that the worst minigame in this game is the Japanese Catfight Club. The Japanese Catfight Club is a glorified game of rock, paper, scissors that you play against the AI, and you'll probably find like some strategies on how to beat this, such as what to throw. Some people might say that you want to swap at the last minute to trick the AI into what you're throwing, but I don't even think swapping last minute really does anything, because when I tried that, I still lost. And so at some point I just gave up, picked the hand I wanted, and then I waited. And sometimes I'll win, and sometimes I'll lose. And then sometimes the AI is going to throw the same hand as me, and then I begin button mashing. But sometimes the AI is going to mash faster than you, and you're not going to win, and you're just going to end up with a bit of a strained arm. Along with the advice of waiting until the last minute to throw your hand, some people have also given the advice of waiting a bit before you button mash, and I don't think this really does anything. I think the AI just sort of decides how fast it wants to go, and you just have to hope that you can do faster than that. I believe that, like, for the most part, it just does things faster than you. But sometimes the AI will be generous and graceful and let you win because it just decides, you know what, it's not fun if the AI always wins. It wants you to come back. And the achievement wants you to win 10 bets on 3-round matches. And what that means is that you have to win 3 matches back to back for it to count. If you won the first 3, but then later on the next tournament you only won 2, that is not winning 5 bets. Even if you drop out. No, you have to go all the way to the end. And you're going to be here for a while, and depending on how generous RNG is to you, you're either going to be there for maybe like 2 hours, or maybe it's going to be a lot longer and you're going to go with like around 6 hours or more. Shogi. I don't really know how to play Shogi. Substories are those out-of-context clips that make you ask, why is Kiryu dancing with Michael Jackson? There are a total of 100 substories in this game, 60 for Kiryu and 40 for Majima, and you can finish almost all of them by chapter 10 at the earliest. The substories are probably some of the best parts of the side content in this game and what a lot of people will end up remembering. Despite the number of them, you'll find that you'll probably have finished a lot of these over the course of the game, especially ones that are their own substory chains. Did you know that this minigame has 7 substories tied to it? Now ain't that something? There isn't really too much to say about completing them, but I want to showcase some of my favorite moments during these. Kiryu preaching that people don't have the right to kink shame others, Majima being the canon reason that the bubble economy popped, Kiryu racing tiny pocket cars and being overly dramatic when he beats a 10-year-old in a race, the time Majima beat up a 12-year-old kid. This one substory about a sex worker trying to get a visa who then marries the person who forced her into sex work, and this substory was just an ad for an actual pizza place in Japan? No, seriously, what the fuck is this? The only issue I had with completing all the substories was Majima's, who needed to complete the hostess training sequences to unlock their respective substory, and to go through each training sequence, you need to sit through another session of the Cabaret Club, which is 3 minutes at minimum. I used to think that Majima's business minigame was more fun than Kiryu's, but right now, I don't even know anymore. Unrelated to achievement hunting, I do appreciate how the substories had references to past games and get brought up again in future games. In my opinion, it's almost worth doing every substory regardless if you're going for every achievement just to finish the full story. The final substories appear when you complete all the others for Kiryu and Majima. You'll get a message on each respective character to travel to a location and fight either So Amon or Joe Amon as your final challenge. The Joe Amon fight as Majima didn't really feel all that bad. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I thought it was kind of a decent fight. It was okay. The So Amon fight sucked. There's 2 phases. The first one, he carries this cannon, and each hit from the cannon stuns you. And when you're stunned, he fires this big ass laser, and that usually just one-shots me. I don't know how I survived some of the time, but I hated this part of the fight, and it felt like a struggle to get through his health bars just to get to phase 2. Phase 2, on the other hand, has a helicopter dropping chairs and tables down on you, and sometimes it will drop an invulnerability potion, and when that drops, he immediately sprints towards it, and then you can't hurt him while the potion's up, but you find out that you can also drink the potion, and now it's a matter of beating him up before the potion wears off and chugging another one while it drops. I don't like this fight This fight sucked, and it's pretty funny because before I said I felt more comfortable with Kiryu, and Kiryu's the one who has to do this. I don't have anything else to add, just move on. The climax battles are going to be your final challenges for the game. You unlock them as you complete chapters in the main story, and then you're given this list of challenge mode fights that you do as either Kiryu or Majima with certain restrictions. You might have them be unupgraded, or maybe they'll have all their abilities, and there may be some time constraints or maybe a challenge to not get hit, and this might be the one achievement that's stopping people from getting every single one. According to Steam, this is tied with the 100% completion list achievement in terms of rarity. I don't really have much to say about this apart from the moment where I just sort of thought, man, this achievement isn't really worth it, which happened during one of the Majima challenges. In this one, Majima has limited vision, draining health, and his fighting style changes every 5 seconds or so, and this is something that happens during one of his sub-stories, but now you have all these effects happening at once. The amount of times it took me to do this just shows how much these fights rely on determination and luck. After struggling with these fights, I just really want to move on from them. Like the dragon and tiger material hunts, I also want to forget this, and this might be like one reason why this is such a short section. Yakuza 0 is a game that's best enjoyed casually, and that's something I've noticed when going through this challenge. Normally, if you want to do something, you'd go and do it. Games like Mahjong are a lot more fun to play when you want to play them rather than feeling like you have to play them, and if you get tired of something, then you'd stop and come back to them later. Going through every achievement ended up feeling more like I had a checklist of items to do rather than going to give things a try, and this run has really skewed my view of the game. Initially, this was going to be a retrospective. Oh, well, look at that. Guess I'm the white guy on the internet, but finishing the completion list, grinding the Colosseum, and completing the climax battles, I began to see faults in the game that began to affect my experience. I will admit, however, that my way of getting the rest of the achievements may not have been the best. Playing this on legend difficulty, while not that much difficult and hard, had the AI be a bit more aggressive and has given them more defense, and this has affected my experience in the Colosseum. The fact that there's no way to cheat at minigames as well means that you're at the behest of RNG, and it really is just waiting to win. Also, after you finish the game, you unlock Premium Adventure, which uses your save file to allow you to free roam around Kamurocho and Sotenbori, which does allow you to get the rest of the items that you missed, not tied to the story such as the missable achievements, and it's something that I probably would have done on a more casual run, I guess. I would still recommend this game for people. It's worth it as an entry to the Yakuza series, but if somebody wants to get every achievement, I would not recommend that at all. But if you want to do it, I urge you to find better ways to get every achievement. As we go through this series, I hope to look back at Yakuza 0 and see how things have changed. Will other games be easier to complete? Will they be harder? Will the gameplay adjustments have more of an effect? Will I lose all hope when I reach Yakuza 5? I don't know. We'll have to find out. But for now, I can say that Yakuza 0 is done. Thank fucking God. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. This is something I haven't done before on the channel, looking at achievements and such like that, and I wanted to kind of give it a try. I know like other achievement hunting videos kind of go through the game and list all the achievements they got, and I didn't do that because I feel like there's a lot of those and I wanted to just look at things as is. So let me know if you liked it. Any feedback is worth it. I'd love to hear that so I can improve for the next ones. If you did like the video, leave a like. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. And if you want to see the usual stuff that I look at, then there should be videos on the screen right now. And if you want to see more in the future, then consider subscribing. Thank you everyone. Thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate having you here. And most of all, I appreciate you.